participate in this time, and the right title is Doing It Right from Scratch, Sustainability Instead of Obsolescence. The whole life cycle from product creation to end of life must be considered from the beginning in which direction the product development will go. Do I move in the direction of obsolescence to have a product that will have a short life cycle time, or do I move with my product into the area of sustainability? All those tasks in between the product creation and end of life, from innovation, prototyping, rollout, time to market, startup of the production, and support and service, this is to be considered in which direction I want to go. And it's also important to think about from the beginning, from product development, from the point of information, that this is also the kind of reputation I put into the market with the company, because this is the direction in where I do go. Now the overview about the total cost of ownership during the product lifetime, what is sustainability, what is obsolescence, then more in detail that we have hardware obsolescence, software obsolescence, then the general design approach with lifetime issues, and at the end the smart PCN as a communication standard of product changes.
So now I take over. A lot of people think when we talk about sustainability, well, this is something that costs a lot of money and no one has any benefit of it. And I want to show you just a short graph that this is not true. Because when we look at the total costs that a customer of a startup company has, then those costs first start with, I have to select my product. They have the procurement organization. Then finally you have to pay the price. So this price up here by buy, this is the price that you have to pay for the product. But then in most cases you have installation costs. You have to deploy it somewhere. So those costs, of course, for the customer, they are as well. Then you have operational costs. And finally at the end of the lifetime, you have de-installation costs and scrapping costs. Well, a lot of people forget that. Now, when we compare a product that is a sustainable product, and this is the green line, and you compare it with a product that is not sustainable, then the costs are of course lower, but the lifetime is also lower. And this means that the customer, when he intends to do it on a certain time frame, like a train operator, that he has to buy the product twice for the same lifetime. And now the cost situation is a completely different one, because now you have double installation costs, you have double buying costs, you have the de-installation and scrapping as well. So you see that there is a commercial benefit, an economic benefit from sustainability. And therefore, what we want to do is we want to bring you the idea closer to you, in particular as startup companies. Think about not to make a product that you can throw away after 6 months. And what do you have to do that you have a sustainable product that has a longer lifetime?
So now I'm taking over. Sustainability as a sales argument, says the headline. So sustainability in general means to sustain, to keep something alive, and the ability is something to do so. So every kind of redesign means a partial obsolescence. Even this needs to be thought about. So we have got sustainability in the field of the engineering, of environmental friendly engineering, then the topic of resource management, and in general also environmental protection, what it means when we are at the product end of life stage. What we have to think about also are the 3 pillars of sustainability. We've got the economy that drives the society, and this is then limited, or let's say this is constrained of physics and of the environmental. And the last point is the whole general rollout of the interest, what corporate social responsibility means, is also that you have implemented in your company the topic of sustainability. This is what they require. As a specific kind of, let's say, definition, obsolescence is in general any kind of service, practice or object that is no longer wanted. So it doesn't mean that obsolescence is a termination, a factual termination. No, obsolescence is just that it's not needed anymore. That means, for instance, the technical obsolescence is that a new technology is taking over the previous technology, that what we have seen with the videotapes and the DVD. So in the future we will also have a kind of technical obsolescence what the DVD will be. What this exactly will be, I'm not sure. With the functional obsolescence, that the device itself is still working, but it can't perform according to let's say, devices that we need in the area around. There is the example that I have, I still have an electric typewriter, but I don't get the typewriter ribbon to get the ink somehow. So this is something that it would still work, but I can't get the ribbon. That's why, for instance, the Pentagon still have a company producing the 5-quarter diskettes. So this is that they can allow for themselves, but the normal customer, they can't do it. We've got the economical obsolescence. This is what we know when the repair is too expensive, or when producing the component doesn't make sense from the cost side. We've got the style obsolescence. This is what I hear frequently from my daughter or from my wife. This is what you all know about. And we've got the planned obsolescence, that's when specific products like capacitors are in the heat stream of the ventilation. This is then where something is possibly organized to get obsolete in, well, most of all the engineering calculation is exactly after 24 months of the warranty period. That's the challenge for them. So this is about the planned obsolescence. What we all need is to work on a proactive obsolescence management, because this is the bottom line to reach sustainability. What we have is a threat of obsolescence, and this is, for instance, the economical threat. If a project is not working because the design-in of the components was done, and then 2 months after the design was finalized, the first end-of-life message comes in, and possibly the project will fail, or the application is not working, or the product is not working, then this might have the threat of employment, of going down of the company, depending how big this is. If there is no second source, if there is nothing else, what is proactive obsolescence management? Also, insolvency could depend on this. We've got the ecological threat, that environmental, if you don't think about sustainability, that you produce products for the litter bin. So this is not exactly, I mean, the resellers, they want to have full shelves, and the market needs to have new products, but it depends to which grade this is going to be driven. And also the climate point of view is something that in the CSR, or in the corporate social requirement reports, is what you have to report, and the climate point of view when you produce products for the rubbish bin is not what provides a good image to your company. So obsolescence management, as I already mentioned from the beginning, is part of the risk management and part of the top management, because this is the direction that the CEOs have to define in where they would like that the company goes, in which direction, according to company reputation and company image.
So there are a lot of different reasons for obsolescence. A lot of people think obsolescence is because my dishwasher breaks down after 2 years. So maybe obsolescence is mainly that the engineer had done a bad job. But that's not the case. We have a lot of reasons for obsolescence basically coming from operating permits or embargo. So if you are in specific companies and you won't get any replacement parts for your machines, then it's obsolete for you. You may have certified products and machinery, so when you change something in this machinery, you have to do a requalification. Now, it could be that this fails and then you are not longer allowed to operate a machine or a unit. You have software compatibility, licensing. I think everybody knows it. You have a wonderful printer. I have one of those at home, and then you have Windows 8 or Windows 10 and there's no driver anymore. This is software compatibility. Then you have the issue of copyright patents. Somehow, somewhere in the world comes up and says, I have thought about this 10 years before, now this is my patent, and you are not allowed to do any, you cannot send out your product to the customer. Of course, you have the disaster risks. There had been the tsunami in Japan. What happened? Specific kinds of condensers would not be on the world market again, because the factories had been destroyed, and this had been the only factories making those parts. This was big issues in the electronic industries. You have end of life of parts, somebody does not the production of them anymore, and you have the change of technologies and the ban of hazardous materials. In the electronic industry, everybody knows ROAS, this means reduction of hazardous materials or substances, and this means you are not allowed to use a specific component or specific materials anymore. So those are all reasons for obsolescence. It's not coming down from somewhere or by a bad engineer. There are a lot of different reasons why this happens. We go now a little bit deeper to tell where you have to look at in a kind of checklists to avoid obsolescence for electronic components, for semiconductors, for materials, for mechanical parts and tools. On each of those areas, you can have obsolescence because you are depending on the companies that provide parts to you. So you have to be very careful in looking what is the companies giving to you and what kind of companies they are. Then we have, on the software level, we have development tools, we have operating systems, the licensing, security. If your development tool is no longer available, and the software of your product depends on it, and you get now some security issues and you have to solve it, then you have a big problem.
What an idea is to think about getting involved in the work of the Component Obsolescence Group. The Component Obsolescence Group is a non-profit electronic industry association, and we are working on different working groups on different topics. For instance, the obsolescence management tools. We have also the comparison of obsolescence management tools. We've got the working group of Smart PCN. We've got obsolescence management standardization working group, and also software obsolescence working group, where we are working on how to handle obsolescence, because you can't prevent obsolescence. The only question is how to handle it. And the Component Obsolescence Group, we do also have our international network, which is the IIOM, the International Institute of Obsolescence Management. Regarding hardware obsolescence, there is a kind of checklist what you should do. You should think about multi-source. When you've got a single source component and this gets obsolete, of course, then you've got an issue. Go for second source products and qualify also other sources to get components, to get services. Check out how long the part or the manufacturer is on the market. If it's a product 6 months on the market, it might be the super fancy product, but it could also be that it's going to be obsolete in 3 months because it was not valid enough. The same is regarding the manufacturer. If it's a stable manufacturer, long years in the market, it will be a more secure handling of getting this product on the bill of material than if it is emerging manufacturer. Also take a look at the PCNs that are available. Then you can see which history this product has got. Then you can also assume how long this product might still be there. And when you can't find anything, this is also a good sign, because then there was still no change to the product. Also, focus on the topic that you should go for industrial or automotive parts. Because if you go to consumer parts, when the 24 months period of time is gone, many products on the consumer level, they will also disappear. What you should do for risk for obsolescence regarding the display and touch screens is that you should not go for consumer products, consumer electronic parts, in order to get something sustainable. Of course, it might be more expensive, but this is exactly the nitty-gritty of getting sustainability. It's not cheap to be thrown away. It is valuable to be sustainable. Fancy new components from new small companies, what I mentioned before, and please do me the favor, remnants from brokers. That's a failure, because it might be that you can get this partial of 10,000 products very good, very cheap, but what is after this? What's about your supply chain? So those are the risks of obsolescence that you can prevent.
Looking at the software obsolescence, here also we have the checklist. It is important to have a detailed software documentation. A lot of companies, in specific in the startup phase, they say, well, that's not important, let's not do that, just do the program. Okay, right. You need to have a configuration management tool. You get those things, it's available on the market, but please use it. Because all your code and all the tools, including the so-called private tools, I know a lot of software developers, they do these code generators, and these code generators, they are lying on the disk C, or they're on a CD-ROM in the desk, and nobody gives them away. But if you want to change the software afterwards using a private code generator, you have a big problem. Yeah? It's not working. So that needs to be part of the configuration management. Prefer also open source, because here you have a very reliable source where you are not bounded by, for example, license issues. Use an open architecture, because this allows you to do changes much better, and use standards, because standards, there's a reason why there are standards. You don't have to invent the wheel a second time. To avoid the risks, I have one point here open, and believe me, I have more than 25 years experience also in software development. And I know the software gurus. Maybe there's one here so please excuse what I'm telling. People that do not work in a team and do not work with standards in the company and say, this is my way to do it and just other forget it, you will not be able to make a sustainable product. Then if you have no process for software development, for error correction, for security issues, no programming guidelines, then you have a high risk that you will be later on not be able to support and to support the software. And if you have fancy new programming languages and development systems, how do you know how long they are on the market? Yeah? So this could be a big problem. And finally, the software license issues. We have customers, they build control units that are running on a train. And they use, from a famous company, starting with M, they use a embedded system, and this is now obsolete. So you have the software, but you are not allowed to lose it because you get no license. So if your customer tells you, well, this is the product, I need 5 additionals, you cannot deliver this product because you don't get the license, even when you have the software, but it doesn't help you.
It would be incompliant. And if there is a compliance audit and you're using software that where no license is for, this is, well, let's say, could be criminal.
Yeah, a train operator would never accept this. Yeah. So the next is when we talk about the overall design and the lifetime. So it is also good to think about what is my concept for the replacement parts. How do I repair the product if something is broken? How do you upgrade to a new features functionality to correct security issues? In particular, this one is very, very important. If you don't have a mechanism that you can load security patches, yeah, so a guy has to go there with an USB stick and to do upgrades, that's not working. And how do you ensure and achieve compatibility with different hardware issues? That's a lot of work you have to do here, yeah? But it's important. Those are the factors that really guarantee the sustainability. So the lifecycle support also includes how do you inform your customers about the product. It's not sufficient just to post it on your website and say, here, there's a new version. How do you know that the customer reads it? So, and how do you react on product change notification from your suppliers? And what is your process on changes of discontinuation of essential parts? This needs to be a process, well thought of, but those are the essentials you need for sustainability.
Regarding proactive obsolescence management, all that is fine, but now we need a PCN communication standard, and the Component Obsolescence group has got a standard already in the market. What we have is a standard on the XML principle, XML file, machinable, readable. So the Smart PCN document contains a body XML file and a list XML file. The body contains sort of master data, what is the sender, the address, telephone number, email address, homepage, whatever. Then different descriptions of the product, part numbers. If it's an termination message, then you will get end-of-life information, such as last time buy, last time ship. And if it's a part change notification, then we've got 87 causes what a change could be standardized. So with this, it is possible to transport in this XML message all the information, and additional to this, there is also the original PDF file from the manufacturer available to get into details. What the beneficial topic about Smart PCN is, you don't have to read the 45 pages of this PCN to get the nitty-gritty of what this PCN is about. You've got a standard, there is a viewer available, and with this viewer it is the possibility to have, for all PCNs coming in with the Smart PCN format, to have it in one format available, and you also have got the possibility with the guideline to get this mapped to your systems you have up and running in your company. Possibly. If not, there's a possibility of a manager. Here's the next slide about PCN management itself.
That's mine. That's mine slide.
That's yours.
So, when we talked about to have a product developed for a sustainable product, and we had to look at the checklists before, then finally it comes down to have a process in your company. And this process in the company means that you get product changes from your suppliers, and you have to look which products are affected. So from the affected products, try to show it here. From the affected products, you have to do an analysis. What does it mean in money? What does it mean in time? So finally, you have to define on measures. Do I have a last time buy? Means I buy 1,000 microcontrollers and I put them on stock? or I do a redesign, or I just tell my customer, sorry, but there's no possibility anymore to supply this product, and we provide then an end of life. So and finally then you can use the same mechanism that you have on this side with the product change notification. You send also smart PCN or product change notifications to your customers so that they can implement the same process. And this is basically what we do at the COG, the Component Obsolescence Group. We develop those processes, we help the companies how to get sustainability by avoiding the obsolescence issues with a process that you have included in your development process and your product engineering processes.
So the Component Obsolescence Group is a non-profit organization and a non-profit association with more than 130 members of the European component manufacturing industry, also manufacturers from components, distributors, and what we do offer is a smart PCN viewer free of charge. If you would like to send smart PCN to your customers, then there is a possibility to get for €50 license a year the Smart PCN Manager. There you can view and create smart PCNs to send it out. For the Component Obsolescence Group members, this is free of charge. But this is not all what we call the ecosystem. There is more about the ecosystem.
And this is the PCN Global Database, because we know that it takes a lot of time maybe to convince an Intel to provide smart PCN for their microcontrollers. We do this job for them because we think we can do this quite well. We have a PCN Global Database created where we have pre-processed smart PCN. So we take all the PCNs we find on the market and we convert them to machine-readable data sets. Because hundreds of people in Germany, for example, do this every day in their companies, and we decided, well, we do it once for the database, and then I can just pick them out here. And so we have now more, by today we have more than 5,000 smart PCNs with 250,000 parts covering this whole thing. And with the PCN Cockpit we have also a management system. In particular, if you have your electronic manufacturing services, they use such tools now to find what are the components that haven't changed or are obsolete, so they can trigger the right measures to do. So, the summary?
The summary is what I mentioned from the beginning is the battle against obsolescence begins right at the start of the product design and the development.
And so that the last sentence, you read it already, the message here is, it doesn't come from heaven, you have to do it by yourself. So you have to think about what are my processes, what are the methods that I use your brain, and then you will create sustainability instead of products that are just made for the litter basket. Thank you very much for your attention.
And in case of any questions, we are here, or let's say you can get in touch with us with these contact details.
Just make a picture, you have then the contacts. Yes, we are in hall A6 and our booth is 531.
And I'm working for Wuth Electronic ISOs and we are in B6 404.
Thank you again very much. Enjoy the day.